Oh, hello. This is my first post here. I'm not sure if this is the right place to talk about this, but I hope it is, and I'm already doing it. I was very recently hired as a security guard at an old Inca fortress in Bolivia, at the top of a mountain, something around 2,000 meters of altitude. It's an archaeological site, and during the week it functions as a museum too. Today was my first day, although it was more of like a video game tutorial. My supervisor, Señorita Rivera, spent almost the entire day guiding me through the installations, telling me how to properly answer common asked questions, and introducing me to my colleagues at the Guadria, the security station of the place. At the end, she weirdly asked me if I had ever seen something unnatural. I replied I hadn't. She gave me the key for the basement of the Guadria, to which she referred to as a safe room. When I asked why did we need that if we were already at a safe place, she gave me a new manual, said farewell, and left. When I arrived at my home, I work from 10 a.m. to 8 p.m. In my house, I'm currently living in a city at a distance of about 5 kilometers from the mountain. I checked the manuals my supervisor gave me. The first was the safety rules, which I had already read when I applied for the job. The second was an informational guide to the ruins. It was mostly a frequently asked questions that contained the same questions she explained to me during the day. The third is the reason why I'm writing this. It's called Special Security Measurements. It looks like a dull and old book, differently from the first ones, which contained illustrations and random photos from the archaeological site. It has no cover art. It smells like mold and probably was made with a typewriter. Well, nobody said I couldn't share it. There's nothing like that in my contract, on the book, or told to me by my supervisor. I transcribed the rules and translated it from Spanish for you guys. Special security measurements. Rule 0. Write address in paper and leave it on the table in the Guadria. Number 1. As a security guard, you were instructed to detain people who vandalize the patrimony on spot. However, this doesn't apply to the Guadria. If you see someone vandalizing the Guadria, ask for their ID. If it says special curators personnel, you're obliged to ask them no further questions and go to another location of the museum. Number 2. The safe room key is to be considered your most precious belonging. Maintain it with you at all times. At home, find a secret place to put them, like under the bed mattress or in a random envelope in the trash can. Do not, by any means, leave it in a safe or inside your wallet when you're at home. Change the secret location at least once every week. Number 3. If you notice the disappearance of the key, do not panic. Call your supervisor and follow their instructions. Number 4. The safe room must be locked at all times. It should only be opened if required or in extreme emergencies. By no means should you try to enter it to satisfy your curiosity or by any other reason other than an emergency. Number 5. If you see a man with a suit, sunglasses, and a fedora or top hat, politely ask his name. If he answers one of the following: John Doe, Duke's personnel, Celeste personnel, specialized curators personnel, ask him if he needs any assistance and do what he commands. Then contact your supervisor. If he doesn't give you any of the described names, then tell him to leave. He should follow your instructions. If he doesn't, go to the safe room immediately and contact your supervisor. Number 6. If you see a group of kids wearing clothes that look very old and dusty, ask them where their parents are. If they don't answer, close the section of the museum, call your supervisor, and go to the safe room. Await further instruction. Number 7. When you leave the Guadria, always double check if the windows are closed. Number 8. Don't use the bathroom at the entrance of the museum between 14:30 and 16:15. Number 9. The ruins of the Inquisition outpost must be avoided at night. Number 10. You must not speak Spanish inside the safe room. Number 11. Do not stay at work after 9 p.m. If you happen to be there after this specific time, go to the safe room as silently as you can. Avoid using technological devices like radios, television, VHS films, etc. there. Number 12. Do not bring any book written by Spanish people from the 16th and 17th century to the job. Number 13. Never go into the wilderness alone. Ever. Number 14. There are always exactly 1 supervisor, 4 security guards, 12 janitors, 2 historians, and 3 persons selling tickets to the museum. If you see anyone with staff clothing that you don't recognize, call your supervisor. Do not, by any means, invite them to the cuadrilla until you have confirmed their museum personnel. This rule doesn't apply to the archaeological team if they happen to be there. Number 15. The pit was an ancient underground tunnel used to evacuate the fortress by the Inca. That being said, you should avoid entering it, unless under extreme circumstances. If you happen to enter it, by any reason, go back. You will only be able to be in the pit safely if you are of Inca descendancy. Number 16. There is not a night watch, even if they wear authentic uniform and seem to be familiar with the place. If you are greeted by a night watch when leaving or when arriving, contest with gibberish, close the museum, and get out. Call the supervisor immediately. Number 17. Sometimes a Rule 0 shows up in this manual. Ignore it. Number 18. If you are in the place where the ancient Inca performed sacrifices and see people dressed in indigenous clothing, acting in a weird manner, close the section and go to the safe room immediately. Number 19. Avoid drinking cocoa tea or masticating cocoa after 7 p.m. inside the cuadrilla. Number 20. If you see someone you recognize from historical paintings or with clothing completely incompatible to the time period, ask for their citizen ID. Depending on the reply, accompany the person to the exit of the museum or leave them alone. Number 21. When going down the mountain, you may see that Vineyard Santo Amaro is open. There is no danger going there, but avoid staying there after 10 p.m. The vendor sometimes is attractive. Do not accept any requests to give them a ride home or to stay with them during the night at Santa Amaro Pudusa. There's only a vineyard and a wine shop there. Number 22. On the wall of the cuadrilla, there are photos of every one of the employees of the site, including one of you. If it goes missing, contact your supervisor immediately and do not leave the cuadrilla. 23. If you hear someone calling your name around 1830, don't answer. Go to the cuadrilla and wait for it to end. Number 24. Twice per year, a bizarre, tall, and completely white alien-like creature will stalk you. The first time, you will randomly spot it at a minimum of 7 meters from you, probably standing still. It will walk slowly toward you. Don't go to the safe room or contact the supervisor. Go to a random cemetery outside the mountain and bury your clothes there. Don't tell anyone about it. The second time should occur between 3 and 5 months after the original incident, even if you're not working with us anymore. You will wake up with the creature at the corner of your room, and it will be standing still like a statue. It doesn't breathe or move, but don't be fooled by it. Within 7 days, you must pray in 7 different churches, even if you're an atheist. If this doesn't work, get as far from your home as you can and stay there for 7 more days. Number 25. You may meet people you thought were dead sometimes. If this happens, Don't talk to them and go to the safe room. Stay there for 1 hour and it should be safe. Number 26. If one of your colleagues asks for a ride home, decline. Unless it's the janitor of the 3rd section, then accept. Number 27. Avoid looking into the ruins of the 3rd Inca house in the 9th sector for more than 2 minutes, even if you feel obligated to or someone tells you to do it. Number 28. Orbs are sometimes seen flying around. If the orb is blue, ignore it. If it is orange, close the section. If it is dark or red, go to the safe room and call your supervisor. Number 29. Never talk about these rules outside the cuadrilla if you are not with at least 2 other guards nearby. Number 30. If you feel a sudden need to speak or sing in languages you don't know, resist and do not speak at all. Send a telegraph or a letter to your supervisor asking for help. Number 31. If you find anything unnatural that is not listed here, close the section where it's happening, call your supervisor immediately, then go to the safe room.